Howdy doody, ladies and gents. It's part 2 of this good old Mech opening TvZ, where we're going to see Last Shadow wow us and zow us with all sorts of fun mid and late game Mech play after doing this really fun Reaper Banshee opening. Part 1, I'd almost say on the difficulty scale of getting it is like 3 or 4 out of 10. Pretty straightforward timings. The only weird quirky things are the fact that we are building a very early supply depot. We have to work on some timings with our SCVs. And the actual difficulty is when you play. You have to have really good micro, rearranging your units in those bunkers, getting the SCVs to repair properly, and of course, etc. In this game, we're actually going to see the Zerg not die immediately to this pressure. It's really easy to watch those games and be like, how do you stop that as Zerg? And when I say it's easy to say that, I mean it popped up in the chat non-stop during the break, so hey, here we go. We're going to see it get stopped off. Now first, I just want to note that this is one of the awesomest starts to the game ever. I'm sure you've had one of these where, okay, I'm going to get ready to do a nice big aggressive rush, but I'm tabbed and I'm reading Facebook, and oh, there's a status update. Let me just respond to that really. Oh shit, I'm in a game. All right, the game begins at the 10-second mark for Last Shadow. Excellent. Hope you enjoyed pinging that sexy lady. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right. And now, Last Shadow. I'm gonna begin. What's our order? All right, SCV goes out a little bit before 9. Depot goes down on 9. The map is Daybreak. We can't do this obnoxious walling him in BS that we were able to do on ESV Cloud Kingdom. Nonetheless, we are gonna wander right on out and start our 10 barracks. Cool. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit just to identify all the salient aspects. There's the refinery going down on 11 food. 14 is when we're going to be building our Happy Time Orbital Command. When we're getting close to building the Orbital Command, we send out an SCB. Where's our SCV? Come on. Where's our SCV? Where are you? SCV should totally be coming down. Where is it? SCV is coming down late. Excellent. Cool. We're ignoring it. Either way, we are building our tech lab as early as humanly possible from this barracks. Scouting around, and you don't really have to build the barracks here, or the bunker here, excuse me. I prefer distance bunkers, like a bunker up here would probably be my preference, flush with the wall, or maybe off just by a little bit, so that way I can run in circles around with the Reaper to do that nice control. But this is always freaking impossible for a player to deal with just drones. I mean, sure, your SCV sometimes glitches and gets out of range, but for the most part, you end up pretty cool. So let me just note the hard part, again, being able to do this, to rally onto these sides, to load up in, rally out. You can even rally out this little slit here. We just want to pick off whatever we can. And the queen pops up, and we start to cry. Yeah, look at this. Loading that in, loading out the 2 SCVs, having the SCVs repair each other. Good stuff. We're noticing Last Shadow's money getting a little bit high because he's focusing so much on this sort of intense micromanagement challenge, but no big deal. We just wanted to get all 3 of our basic things up: second gas, command center, and factory. Though this dies, no big deal, we picked off a queen. And it's okay to do this, to build these distance bunkers. They can't hit the hatch, but you have something that you can retreat to. And we're continuing to make these Reapers all freaking long, taking stuff out, and we can always retreat to our distance bunker. Back home, we're starting to get our factory, and we need to get this wall up quite quickly. We are not going to be able to take out this hatchery by any means. And in fact, if we go to the unit counting station, despite all that awesomeness of picking things down and killing queens and killing 4 workers, Zerg still actually has a better economy than us. Zerg's actually doing a lot better. So I want to just remove this illusion that simply by making bunkers outside the front, you're winning, right? It's so easy to just, oh, I won 3 games in a row with it, and then it doesn't win, and you're like, but I must still be in the lead. In this position, this is a pretty even circumstance. It certainly sucks for a lot of Zerg players who don't have the experience against this. If you played right when StarCraft 2 came out, you have a lot of experience with this, because this is like all anybody ever did, but either way, Last Shadow is in an extremely uncomfortable defensive position. This bunker, or this barracks, if it wants to send units back, has a really hard time arriving to behind this wall off. So in a sense, this is Last Shadow's last line of defense. And here it is falling down. This is a super scary position to be in. Notice how quickly Last Shadow is hanging out down at 30 food. And look, he's, you know, done the factory, followed it right up with the starport to get the Banshee, but in the unit station, no units. If Zerg just rallies units, he's in a lot of trouble. And this is normal. This is a very normal position to be in. It is so normal. I don't want you to freak out. Again, Zerg players, if you kill off a bunker rush like that, losing 2 queens, some Zerglings, a couple drones, but you kill it off, you're in good shape. You're in an amazingly comfortable position. There's not actually that much bad going on. Finishing up, it looks like one more Reaper to pick some Zerglings off, maybe get the Zelnaga Watchtower. That's great. But now you're obviously seeing why I was making such a big deal about the supply depot wall. I mean, look at this. 37 of 70 supply. Still worth it to build these 3 depots. I might even say that the second at-home depot should be planted at the front, but I'm not going to get too torn up on it. So now we see Last Shadow transitioning in to this fun-ass Banshee play. Still not really able to plant down his expansion. But now going for the good old mixture of Banshee with Cloak, but interestingly Tank with Siege mode. Barracks landing here to block off. Reaper comes home. This is a really weird-ass defense that winds up being very well suited to most small early aggression. And because we were unable to get this up, an excellent way to spend your money is just to get this kind of early 3rd command center. This is where I actually want to pause. We're at the 9-minute, we're basically at 10 minutes. And I want to take an examination of Zerg's base, who about as quickly as he could got Zergling speed, got his double Evo up, his layers almost done, and all this good jazz. And the unit station at 54 drones, looking pretty good. Food distribution pretty even. You might ask yourself something like, why would I do this opening? Why don't I just go straight for this Banshee? Why don't I just go straight for whatever, the expand, the tanks, all that stuff? What's wonderfully beneficial about this opening is that it buys us a lot of time. His layer is delayed. His opening economy is delayed. Sure, our economy gets a little bit botched in the process, but the big key is going to be this Banshee. I talked quite a bit about it at the in the last game from a theoretical point of view, I suppose I'd say. But this Banshee and all the shenanigans we've seen before essentially denies and delays Zerg's 3rd base. So obviously this is good. I actually think I ended up watching this game on the stream. Now that I'm looking at it from this vantage point, it looks quite familiar. Picking off any economy that he has is obviously very good, but to note, what else could he possibly use to defend this? His layer is going to be delayed, so effectively the only thing he can really rely on is a lot of queens to delay it. He's not really going to be able to get too many spore crawlers up, unless he's going for kind of like wicked dedicated defense. So a little bit of a snafu there. But I'm almost glad that this mistake happened, because this core idea is the same, that this 3rd is so super stupidly delayed that when this Banshee arrives, even if you are going for some kind of big queen defense, the amount of Banshees that we end up constructing just shut this down right away. Even picking off the Creep Tumor. So these Banshees end up being amazing. I'm actually going to ignore everything that's going on in the base. We'll come back and take like a second look at that in a moment. But there's no way, as we see the Spire at 70 supply, there's no way that you can defend this with anything but queens. And as we're still non-stop building the Banshees, he can't both recover from our harass and get a good economy and get a layer and have a bunch of queens. He can only do some of those. So these Banshees end up doing some really nice guaranteed damage. I will note that compositionally, when we look back home, we have like bunkers and tanks and Thors and Hellions and all that other good jazz, but these are all slow. Like super unbelievably painfully slow, and with a mech type army, it's both important to figure out how to get around that, how to have some attacks incorporated and not just be too slow and too passive, but also to embrace that. You don't have to be doing an attack at 90 food with 4 tanks and that's it. You want to make sure that you have the appropriate aggressive mixture in there. So I like this Banshee add-on. Obviously, it's going to deal very well with Roaches, Zerglings, Banelings, any really ground mixture. Pretty standard good stuff. Yeah. I'm going to pop back to 8 minutes and check out what ends up happening back home in the base while all that Banshee harassment is going on. So at this point, we just do some intuitive judgment calls. If we saw a lot of Zerglings being produced, then we might want to just keep making Hellions and not get an add-on. It's a kind of ultra danger to try to throw down a reactor because that's a full minute of not doing anything. Only throw down the reactor if you think he's not going to be getting a ton of Zerglings, or if you do have the time.
Is under attack.
So we're being annoying with our barracks. Just making sure he doesn't expand. I particularly like this a lot because we've hurt our own economy so badly at the start by doing this super crazy nutcase play. But note that everything here all falls out of buying ourselves more time. We bought ourselves more time, we delayed him, so we're going to get Banshees. With our bought time, we're going to expand. With our bought time, we're going to get an extra command center up. With our bought time, we're going to get kind of an early armory and get those upgrades started very, very early. If you have +2 attack, your Thors kill Mutalisks in 2 volleys instead of 3. So they end up being 50% more effective. Actually, I do want to just note that math really fast. If you used to kill things in 3 hits, and now you kill it in 2 hits, that's actually 50% more effective, not 33% more effective, because 18 shots kills how many Mutalisks? It used to kill 6, because 18 divided by 3 is 6. But now it kills them in 2 shots. That means I can kill 9 Mutalisks. 9 is 50% more than 6. It's 50% more effective. I note that just because a lot of times people can kind of feel the goodness of it, but they can't quantify it, right? Like, and you want to be able to just note, like, wow, that's a lot more effective. I can kill 50% more of that unit that used to bother me. That's a big leap. That even sounds way better than 33.3 repeating percent and all that nerdiness. But yeah, we eventually back up to start trying to get all the other good jazz, these extra factories up. 2 tanks pop out for Last Shadow. But the Thor's going to follow up right away and upgrade. This vehicle weapons upgrade going to also follow up right away. Our 2 refineries constructed the instant we take this base. And this is where we end up in a long dead period.
Complete.
Seemingly. We have slow, clunky units. Make sure those defenses are appropriately planted.
Complete.
Missile turrets. We are going to have a lot of minerals thanks to all this muling. We don't want to go too balls to the wall with the Hellion production. We largely want to build some tanks, mainly Thors, and a lot of Banshees. And here's our early upgrade. Banshees thus far have helped control how much our opponent can expand. One thing that's also nice about this Banshee-Thor mixture is that consider all the things that can be thrown at us right about now. With your old timings, that is, if you never did any damage, 1330, he should have Mutalisks up, he should have 3 bases, probably going on 4. But we did some harassment to him early on, so things are a little bit delayed. But what can he really throw at us? A lot of Roaches, a lot of Banelings, some Mutalisk Zergling, possibly. I mean, we actually just saw that the Spire's finishing up here in the main base just now, getting the +1 air. It's really hard for anything to come hit us thanks to the fact that we have these Banshees and at least 2 Thors. So we can very rapidly go second base, boom, third base, without much of a problem. This small mixture, but very potent mixture, covers all our bases. And one of the last things we actually get is this Blue Flame Hellion upgrade. You just need some Hellions behind these units to be able to deal with stuff. And then a very nicely placed sensor tower. There's also these other basic composition, or these building placement things going on. Depots to wall this off, depots walling this off, depots walling this off. Soon enough, buildings starting to create a little bit of a wall here. Yep, there they are, walling off. Just lots and lots and lots of coverage plays with the buildings to help restrict movement. But for the most part, we just churn stuff out of these 4 structures and upgrade. Upgrading is really good. All our geysers go down the instant our expands go down. There's nothing too quirky or clever about that. With our additional minerals, first be building command centers instead of going a little bit too nuts with the additional Hellion type stuff. So this is just really cute. I don't know if we want to like build a marine and rally it there. But we have some Hellions just doing some poking. Nothing too absurd at all. In our composition, just making sure that we don't overbuild Thors, but the Banshee is still being produced. 5 Banshees. This is this passive period where most meching players just sort of chill and do nothing. There's no expansion up here. He's just going to check that. This is where most Terran players just kind of chill. But these Hellion Banshees allow us to be somewhat aggressive. We, up to this point, have been broke and are still only building out of these 4 structures. We're only just now starting to add on more factories.
Add-on complete.
And of course, the sort of harassment doesn't hurt at all. Killing off Zerglings is actually great, man. I actually prefer killing off Zerglings to drones. So that means that your big mollywomp army can just easily waltz right in. I'm going to speed it up a little bit so that way we can get to the Ravens. But, this I almost think is one of the most significant plays of the entire game. Because when you're going mech, it's very easy to go into Marine Marauder mode and just box units and be like, I'm gonna attack! If your units are slow, embrace that they're slow, and ooze your way onto the map. We just see Last Shadow slowly oozing his way forward. Not really the most exciting game up to this point, but hey, remember those Banshees that we had effectively not really done that much with? That might seem like a loss, but these Infestors just spent a good chunk of 2 of the Infestors' energy just to take out a single Banshee. And if he's not watching and you just send 1 Banshee out at a time like this, you're either going to waste his energy or you're going to be picking off a lot of Infestors. So there is the target fire on a single Banshee. He does manage to take out 1. Will it take out 2? Looks like he's trying to go for these other fungals. Just the simple act of having a Banshee lead a little bit. Where'd the other Banshee go? Let me actually just go to the Last Shadow camp. Yep, Banshee's just spreading out. Not a huge spread because we have 3. It's not that complicated to micro, but this... I almost feel bad for not having the best description of this, but you feel it when you build the Banshees. That every now and again, like 2 Infestors wander that way with a bunch of roaches, and you just want to kill those 2 Infestors. You can just sort of kill it off and sort of fly back. So, we've been talking about these units that are moving up at the front. Tanks, it's okay to leave the tanks bleeding back. You just don't build that many tanks. Like 5 is a lot of tanks. Many more would just be sort of ridiculous. But what I like from Last Shadow is that he added on 1 more factory, but now he's slowly adding on more starports. I feel like there should be another starport somewhere else here, but looks like not quite yet. But as he's advancing forward, I'll note that this top left expansion is never going to be a target really for a meching player. Not early on. Whatever's closest is the target for mech. I don't care if it's the best thing in the world that you've always wanted to attack, or whether it's kind of an unappealing thing to attack. Just hit the closest frickin' damn thing. Just hit the closest thing. And now that Last Shadow's advanced all the way to here, very tempting to try to go for some sort of huge, gigantic, all-in-ish move, just box and go. Fortunately, our opponent kills off a lot of our stuff, so we don't have to worry about that. But I would probably note, like, right here, we just held this off. We just killed off a bunch of units. I think it's real tempting to just sort of shoink, shoink, go for it. With Marine Marauder, I'd say, yeah, that's actually probably fine, but you have to be super, ultra, crazy careful. Even a maneuver like this, just checking, scanning, and retreating. Just to go back and gather us all together again. We want to make sure that we have maxed armies. Mech armies always work better when maxed, and thank God we have these extra Banshees, so we can continue to do this sort of cool harassment whenever we so please. We see the Infestors, we don't just run and say, well, Infestors counter Banshees, we just spread the Banshees out. Try and kill off as many as we can. And then once we've regrouped, we start to advance back forward. So you're seeing that there's 2 starports with 2 sets of add-ons, 2 Tech Lab add-ons. It's at this point in the game that the Terran player will stop spending gas on factories, stop spending gas on armories, and greatly reduce the amount of gas he spends on upgrades, so you start winding up with a lot more leftover gas. And this is where the Raven transition comes in. Again, a nice, slow, calm push after we pulled everything back, got to around 160. We worked our way forward to what? To basically whatever was closest. And then we unsiege and immediately retreat. Always retreat along the reinforced path. Like always with Mech. I can't even concoct a situation in my head where we'd want to run at some skew angle because we'd just get overwhelmed and killed. So here's a scan up here. Oops, the Banshee harass is continuing to go on down here. We do not kill the Greater Spire, though we try valiantly. This, we basically have to go, oh damn, he expanded there. And that can only be taken easily way down the line. Like after we've already won. So as we get to this late game situation where we start to see that the Greater Spire's up, I think it's pretty clear that with the, with most layer tech, with like Roach, Baneling, and Bester, if we're just going pure metal, like especially the tank Thor with a couple of Hellions, there's just not much that he can do. But now, this is the weird moment where, how do we deal with this transition to Hive Tech? I mean, Viking Thor seems like the intuitive choice. Viking Thor. Hellions will wind up being another key component just to be able to take out the Blue Lords.
Mineral field depleted.
But this ends up being a really cute move where we see Last Shadow transition into Ravens. Yeah, Raven! So sure, doing these usual pushes, we haven't really seen Broodlords yet, but now we do, so we just pull back.
Vespene Geyser exhausted.
Careful not to overcommit. And now we're just chilling. A single Thor going up to take out this expansion. This is what's weird about Mech, is that this sort of thing like doesn't quite work. Doesn't really, like with Marine Marauder, you would like send a Marine pack up here to like kill off this, but it doesn't work really that well with Mech. But we're still getting the Corvid reactor, which is really cool because I think Corvid is a family of owl.
Research
I think it's like a total Trivial Pursuit trivia question. But in that unit station, we do have one Raven out. We have 4 more coming.
Our SCVs
Working our way around. Where do we expand? Whatever's closest. Sure, this is a lot of times where Protosses and Zergs will expand in this matchup. Not us. Not yet. You're seeing Last Shadow just really not attack that much, flooding with the orbital commands on the right side.
Additional supply depots required.
A lot of sensor towers. I'm kind of waiting for the big set of confrontations to come up just to show how cool this mixture is. We hit around 160 and then we just started to pump up a lot of Ravens. In terms of upgrades that might be a little bit late, high-sec auto-tracking. Little bit late. The structure armor has already been researched though. Structure armor and high-sec auto-tracking will happen around the time that you get your 4th base up and running. Generally like while it's building, while you're floating over there to land it. But in essence, what Last Shadow's doing right now is saying, my Mech army is way better than whatever composition you're going to end up building that's any sort of
Complete.
Infestor, Corruptor, Broodlord mixture. So what I just need to do is get up enough Ravens
Upgrade complete.
to where my force is really strong. This dead period was a little bit longer than I thought. I probably should have been fast forwarding this a little bit more aggressively.
Upgrade.
So, this is a super tricky army to end up controlling. But what's nice is that you can throw down the point defense drones, and the Corruptors really don't do anything. I mean, obviously, point defense drone just shoots down Corruptor fire. This is really painful. This was more of a bad angle move. This is one of these times that, you know, if you're watching like Last Shadow stream, everyone's like, LOL, Ravens, what the hell, it's so bad. There's the Seeker Missile coming up right now.
Our SCVs.
Still just calmly managing, barely gets that one alive. The huge push happens, and this is like one of the most rewarding moments I've ever seen in my life. Where is it? Where is it? Some point defense drones get thrown down. Oh, there's a single one. There's the single Seeker Missile. Now, I will just notice all these guys hanging out under here. Just be aware of the health of the Corruptors, and... oh no! Where'd 4 of your dudes go from a single Seeker Missile? And now, when more Seeker Missiles get thrown out, suddenly this Infestor Broodlord army becomes a big liability, because all our stuff was stacked. We literally needed one good series of shots off in order to get a wicked good advantage against this Broodlord Infestor force. And I'm almost envisioning if our opponent was trying to build roaches, we still have 3 tanks with +3. Again, if this were commentary mode for day 9, I would be screaming and shrieking, oh my god, so incredible! But you can actually kind of force this to happen and predict that this is where this game will wind up every single time. I do wish that, you know, from a doing a good show perspective, that I kind of fast forwarded through this long dead period where he's just building ravens and hanging out and stuff. But still, I think that it may have actually wound up driving the point home a little bit better, that it's okay to have a long, slow dead period. So to note the key moments in gameplay, real quickly in part number 2 of a game that I think went nicely for us. Last Shadow opens up with this little aggressive push. He follows it up with the Banshee transition. So that way, throughout the early game, he can both harass at this backside, but more importantly, he can take down... whoopsie daisies. I moved forward 1 minute too early. Yeah. But more importantly, so we can use these Banshees to deny attempts at early third bases. Now, I want you to be aware of these times from 12 minutes to about 18 minutes. Last Shadow's doing nothing but expanding, expanding, expanding. He built an early third command center, which he floated here, moving out here for another early third, or another base. And not a single attack happens until he's getting close to maxed. And the Banshees help a lot. We do 1 attack because he has no hive. When we clean the army up, we just calmly pull ourselves all the way back. Whenever we're pulled back, we're aware that our Banshees can be a tool to be aggressive, but we still hang out until once again we're getting close to that 170 food mark, and we're just attacking wherever the hell is closest. As we're getting our extra bases up, we are going for these starports with Tech Lab add-ons. And again, killing stuff off, pulling it right back. And with our opponent on a pretty low number of bases, but still going for Infestor Broodlord and with a shit ton of gas saved up. What do? We're at the 23-minute mark. We don't attack, even up at the 30-minute mark. This is the first big push that we've actually made in a long time. And our angle goes pretty horribly for us. 10 minutes of doing nothing to get in a bad angle, and no problem. I'll spend another 4 minutes building. And how glad we are for those extra 4 minutes, because they conclude Let's just look at units lost tab. This is so rewarding. So rewarding. Oh, it was 20k versus 16k. Now it's 20k versus... Oh my god. Oh my god. Did you guys just see the Zerg lose 10,000 of stuff? While last Shadow lost 1,000 worth of stuff? Look at that. 26k versus 21k. I'm going to come back 1 minute. And it's 18k versus... Oh, yeah. And here it is. Yep, look at this. 20k versus 16k. He loses over 10,000 worth of stuff to this nicely planned Seeker missiles. So good. So awesome. So slick. What I'm going to do, now that we've had apparently a really long part number 2, is we're going to go into part number 3. It's going to be a game where things actually just suck for us at the start. We're going to see how we can use this Raven-based play to pull us back into the lead. See you in a sec. Woohoo!